Hi, I'm Martin Hoffman. I'm the judge of the 68 Civil District Court. I'm here with Alex Reisinger and Debron O'Neill with the DAYL Trial Skills Boot Camp Committee. And we're here to talk about a very important subject, the new George Allen jury plan to allow us to go forward with jury trials in the George Allen Courthouse. Alex and Debron are each going to ask me some questions about the plan. Let's get started.
Thank you so much, Judge. My name is Alex Reisinger. I'm an associate with Thorne McCaffrey, Casada, and Geisler. And I think the first question that's on everyone's mind is, what are these jury trials going to look like with the current pandemic? Are we really restarting?
So we're going to be starting jury trials up. The current plan, at least, is to start on November 10th. Judge Moore is going to try the very first case. At least the current plan is to have a couple more trials with other judges, civil district judges, the next week. These are going to be hybrid trials. And so the jury selection is going to occur remotely, probably via Zoom for most judges, and the trials themselves will be in person. And we looked at that as probably the optimal way to try to give everybody a chance to be safe, because our courtrooms are too small to do jury selections in person, but also give parties an opportunity to do the type of persuasions they'd like to do with in-person trials.
Well, let's talk about what this looks like for the potential jurors that are going to be coming in for the restarting of jury trials. What did the summons look like when it went out to those potential voir dire members?
So it's going to be very different than what we've had in the past. We sent out 2,000 juror postcards to allow jurors to sign up for jury service. Typically, before the pandemic, we'd send out 2,500 a week. So this is a somewhat smaller sample to allow us to get enough jurors for at least one trial, hopefully a few more. They got a postcard that instructed them to go to a website. On the website, it had a number of questionnaires, including, first off, a questionnaire about COVID, a questionnaire about what technology they had available, since the jury selection will be remote. In that first summons, they had a questionnaire about CAR-X, because the first trial is going to be about CAR-X, so a basic questionnaire about CAR-X. And then all the basic information you would normally see in a jury summons, name, address, religious affiliation, marital status, things like that we've all seen in the juror cards before.
For the attorneys that are going to be trying cases coming up, when are they going to get those questionnaires for their CAR-X cases?
You know, I think it's going to vary by judge. There's nothing in the plan that really discusses that. In my court, in at least my first trial, what my intention is to provide the questionnaires. So one thing I forgot to mention was that the questionnaires, once we get the jurors, they'll be split up into panels, and the judges will be provided the panels hopefully well in advance. And then my intention would be to provide them the questionnaires probably the Friday before trial, once we have a good idea of who's actually going to trial. And then in the procedure in my court, at least, will be that they would have 3 hours after that to do a shuffle if they wanted to. We want to try to avoid doing shuffles. But this isn't going to be a situation where the jurors are going to report to the central jury room or any type of central location to be reassigned to other courts. They'll be summoned directly to that particular judge on the particular day of trial. So it'll give the judge an opportunity, hopefully, to reach out to the jurors, make sure they're going to show up, and make sure they have the technology they need to be able to participate. Now, one other thing that I think is important to understand is that a lot of people are concerned about, well, what about people who don't have technology? We're going to be providing them technology, an iPad with Zoom downloaded and Dropbox downloaded that they'll be able to use with a hotspot. So hopefully everybody who is willing to serve will be able to serve with technology.
Now, of course, we all can expect that the questionnaires addresses issues like whether the jurors are showing symptoms of COVID. But how is the court going to handle when jurors claim an excuse for a COVID-related reason, but that's not symptom-related, such as being over 65?
So the plan provides that we're going to grant exemptions liberally for people who have COVID concerns. We also are going to make sure that if somebody actually comes to the courthouse on the day of trial, they're going to be tested as well to make sure that they have that they're well enough and able to serve. They're going to be have temperatures taken and things like that. So we are going to liberally grant exemptions based on COVID-related concerns.
Judge, I want to turn now and ask you some questions about the trial itself. Again, I'm DeBron O'Neill, from an associate at Carrington Coleman. How will attorneys' objections to this hybrid trial process be handled under the plan?
So the plan provides that you're encouraged to make objections 10 days in advance, and the court's encouraged to hear those within 7 days in advance. One thing to understand about this plan, and again, you can find the plan if you want to read it, a variety of places, but including on my court webpage. Understand that the plan has gone through a number of different layers of approval. The local administrative district judge, our regional judge, and the Office of Court Administration have all approved that. But if somebody does want to make an objection, they are able to make objections to remote proceedings.
Judge, will there be any limits on the number of attorneys or witnesses or parties that are allowed in the courtroom?
That's a really good question. Alex, if you don't mind sharing the chart that's provided in the plan.
Pulling it up.
So this is this chart, which is included in the plan, will dictate how trials, at least on the new side or the annex where most of the civil district judges are located, are going to be set up. You can see on the top of this screen, the jury is going to be split up. Jurors 1 through 7 are going to be in the jury box. On the left side of the courtroom facing from the judge's bench, you're going to see the jurors. You'll notice that there are 5 jurors in the pews, as well as an alternate. We're strongly encouraging the use of alternates. This particular chart provides that you have 2 spaces for the plaintiffs on the plaintiff's table, and then 2 spaces for the defendants, and then an additional table if there's a need for that for 2 additional defense attorneys. Also on the right side of the courtroom, you notice that there's about 6 spots that are open for observers or interns or whoever wants to watch the trial. And then you have the court reporter, the bailiff, and the witness. You may ask yourself, for those of you who are familiar, this is not the setup for any of the courts on the old side of the courthouse. And there is discussion about how that's going to be done. But for the courts like Judge Moores and myself, on the new side of the courthouse, this is how it will be set up.
And in that same realm, Judge, how will the jurors deliberate once the case goes to them?
So that's a really good question. The jury room, we're not going to be using the jury rooms for deliberations. They'll be deliberated in the courtroom, as well as breaks. This will be basically, the courtroom will serve as the jury room for the juries, and so they'll be in the courtroom. They will be able to use the bathrooms in the jury room, but we do require them to, we're going to give them enough space so they can have social distance. Their jury rooms are simply too small to put 13 jurors in there and have any type of social distancing.
Judge, I know a lot of us trial attorneys are wondering, with the precautions for COVID and presentation of our case, will there be an opportunity to remove our mask with some other types of protection while giving openings or examining a witness?
So generally, everyone is going to be wearing face masks. So during most of the proceedings, the jurors are all going to be in face masks. The judge will be in face masks. The court reporter, the bailiff, the attorneys for most of the time will be in face masks. For those who would like to, they are allowed to wear a face covering, shield, face shield, blanked for a second what that was called, face shield, and able to remove their face mask to ask questions and to do opening statements, but they have to remain immobile. So the days of walking around the courtroom are kind of unfortunately not going to be allowed if you're going to talk with your face mask on instead, or sorry, your face shield on instead of your face mask. So I'd highly recommend attorneys be prepared to have a face mask and a face shield for these proceedings.
Great. And Judge, the other question us commercial litigators have is when will cases other than car wrecks be tried to a jury?
That's a very good question, and the answer is we don't know. I think the current plan is that out of this first summons of 2,000, we're going to try 2 or 3 or 4, maybe more, but I doubt it, car wreck trials, just to kind of get a feel for how this works, to see what the one of the concerns obviously is for the judges, as well as I know for the bar, is are the jurors that show up to this going to match the demographics of Dallas County? We want to make sure that that occurs. So this is kind of a test run, these first few jury trials, how many there's going to be. And then once we figure that out, and if this works, I anticipate there'll be additional summons going out that will allow more complicated cases to be tried. But we really want to see if this is going to work before we do that. So my speculation guess would be that we're going to be starting up in January with additional trials, but it could be more or less time depending on how these pilot trials go.
Well, Judge, I want to thank you for your time and for answering our questions today. We're all looking forward to getting back to trying cases.
As am I.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.